Welcome. So great to be together today.
Yes,
we're with Mary.
Mary Bell is with us today. We're so excited. We worked on this for a long time to get her on here, so this is exciting. We're going to tell you a little bit about her, but first, let us know where you are joining us from. We get guests from all over the world, and we appreciate you being with us, and we are so appreciative to High Five Live for letting us do this. We get to meet the most amazing people and chat, and they are always inspirational. And today will be no exception.
So
Mary,
thanks to all the High Five Live people for all that they do to make this possible.
That's right.
And the bio says, in our hearts, magnificent, marvelous Mary. But there's more.
Gotcha.
Here.
You're so sweet.
So, Mary, we met you, I don't even know how many years ago. She asked us to come and speak in her stake, right? And that was just so fun. We've been friends ever since. And
lucky us.
Yes, we've had some great moments. And today is going to be another one of those. And to start out, I just want to say a few things about this amazing lady. She's the author of the Costco best-selling book, The Pursuit of Happi-Nest. And she's going to tell us all about that. It's a book about how LDS families tend to produce strong families, and that is the basis of our conversation today. She's been a guest on KSL Studio 5, a writer for Meridian Magazine, the Huffington Post, and her new book, this is so exciting, I Can Feel It in My Heart, which will be published in 2023. It's about helping children avoid dangerous media like pornography. Thank you for being willing to do that. Yes. She's the mother of 8, the grandmother of 8 with 2 more on the way, right? And you can find her book at Desert Book, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, etc. And you can find her at maryjobell.com. And please tell us about tomorrow. What's happening in your family? We got to get this out of the way so we don't forget.
Oh, we have some good things coming, but actually I'm going to talk to you about that offline because there's some sacred things going on there that are really cool.
Great. That is perfect. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, well, she's always got amazing things happening in her life.
Since you do this for us, we want to ask you if you've had people in your life that have come into your life that have influenced you to find greater happiness.
Okay. So I put on extra mascara, hoping that it wouldn't all run off as I talk about this. And I told some of my friends who are listening, hello, you guys, that I try not to get emotional, but be prepared. It might.
It's okay.
Yeah. So I'd like to share, 2 examples of people that have been great examples to me and have raised my happiness level. One is short, one is a little bit longer. The first one is about people that help me understand how great the goodness level is out there in the world, but we don't always hear about that on the news, right? And the second one is about people that help me understand the great goodness in the world to come. So quickly, the first one was a couple weeks ago when I was in a TV interview, and people that are listening, I had never done a TV interview outside of Zoom. I'd never done a live one. So I was, justifiably terrified, and I was planning what to wear, right? And I had this necklace, and I thought, I really want to wear this necklace because it's from my sister Betsy, who you guys know. And I thought, lucky necklace. And I had just talked her into, like 2 weeks before that, coming to do a speaking gig with me, also new, also terrified. And she came and she was so kind. And she gave me this beautiful necklace. So in the directives that you get, if you're going to be on TV, they tell you certain things. And one of those things is don't wear jewelry that will make noise when you move. And I wrestled with it. And I thought, I don't think it makes that much noise. And I don't think I move that much. But you can tell right now that I'm like an animated cartoon. That's not true. But in my mind, I was thinking, I'll be like this. But of course I'm not.
Yeah, right.
So I packed up the necklace and I put it on right before the interview. And the nice mic guy came and he put the mic on. And I thought, I hope this is okay, because mics tend to be hypersensitive, right? And it's next to the necklace. And if you go back and you could to see the interview, you'll see that it did make some sound periodically throughout the interview. After the interview was over, one of the sound guys said to the other sound guy, just very quietly and gently, I think we picked up some of that noise. Well, what was so beautiful about what happened next is what didn't happen next. The beautiful host who I love, hello, you know who you are, and their team, not one of them came up to me and said, you know, Mary, we know you're a newbie, but you got to get it together and obey the directives. Nobody said anything. And I thought, this is so kind. And it's like Jesus, like he knows, he knows you know the right thing and you'll do the right thing next time. Okay. So that's one example of goodness in the world. Two, this is a little bigger, but I had some friends in high school, two sister missionaries, but they were literally sisters. And one of them had a particular glow about her. And we had known each other since 7th grade, became really good friends, best friends in high school. I thought I knew a lot about what best friends were. I had a best friend growing up for years and years and years, just play and fun and lightness and just silly. But this friend had like almost an upgrade thing going on with her. And I really knew it when I went into her house the first time. And let me explain it this way. Have you seen the movie The Wizard of Oz? You can read it.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So you know how it starts out. It's in black and white, right? And that's, if you lived in that time, black and white is awesome. This is way better than radio. I mean, you're loving that black and white, right? And then partway through the movie, it turns to color, right?
Yeah.
So I had been living in that black and white world, metaphorically. I had a really nice family. I had great people in my family. And it was not a perfect family, and we had real challenges, of course. But there was a lot of laughter and a lot of fun. And so I thought I was living my best life in high school. I emotionally, I was doing well. I was just a normal kid. But then I walked into Dana's house, and everything was Technicolor. And it completely took me off guard. I thought, what the heck is this feeling? What is going on? Like, there's a different feeling here. And you could see, brothers and sisters laughing or talking, like in my house, people cooking dinner, like in my house, people doing the things, but there was a feeling in the air. And I had no idea then, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. It was an extra abundance of the Holy Ghost. And it just felt so pure. And can we say heavenly? It was like a little slice of heaven, but I couldn't put my finger on it. And I said to Dana, I feel like I'm obeying the commandments and you're obeying the commandments. We're both trying to do that. The only difference is I have no idea why I'm obeying the commandments. Really, I don't really know. I'm just sort of bumbling around. And you know something I don't know. Suddenly I'm invited to everything. I don't want to go to any of these things, but I'm invited to things like seminary. And after seminary, she said, how'd you like it? And I said, never invite me to that again. It's so early in the morning. I mean, if you want to still be friends with me, don't call me about that. I was a resistant convert, and it culminated in her inviting me to church, where there's the story in the book. I won't go into all the details, but something very spiritual happened to me there, which also took my breath away. And then later she invited me to go to BYU. And I said, I'm not a member of your church, and I'm probably going to go to an East Coast school. My dad went to Georgetown. Cousins went to things like, Yale. I'm going to go. I know where I'm going. Of course, spiritually, I had no idea where I was about to go, but she knew. But she said, no, why don't you just come and just go skiing there? And I was like a horrible skier. I'd only been once, but it was disaster. I took my skis off and slid down the hill. I mean, it was terrible. But I thought, what if I could actually get better at that? What if that was the bait that was the garlic marshmallow on the hook for Fishers and Men. She got me to go to the campus. So right before, this little Catholic girl who wasn't a really good prayer, wasn't particularly professional at that, kneeled down and said, Heavenly Father, basically, I know you know what we should do. So you tell me if this is the right school. That's pretty much all I said, but I was really sincere about it, and I was on my knees. And when I got to campus, that thing happened again, that Technicolor thing, because of course she dragged me to BYU campus, and everything was sort of like extra. And I was just so teary. And I said, I'm not emotionally unbalanced, Dana. Why am I always crying? And she said, you feel the spirit. And I was like, what are you talking about? And so anyway, long story short, because of that family, I now have a family. And because I obviously got baptized in the end, more in the book that I wrote, but it was very complicated and super hard, like decades of hard for one particular reason, which you can learn about later. But the main thing is that in the end, I got 8 children, and I got a wonderful husband and decades of living the gospel. And I am so beyond grateful for that persistent friend who was such a great example to me, and her sister. They literally glowed, and their light, like those firecracker sparklers, they had that little sparkler and they walked around and they couldn't help but have it. They just had it with them all the time. And you guys in high school that are listening to this, you know what I'm talking about, Lori and Dana. And they had that little sparkler, and it happened to bump into my not lit sparkler, and it caught and it lit. And I have been nothing but blessed. I mean, of course I've had challenges, but so many blessings from that. So that's why I wrote the book. And that's the long answer to your short question.
Tell us a little bit more about the book.
So the book is called The Pursuit, because it's always a pursuit. It's never an end in this life. The Pursuit of Happi-Nest, nest meaning your home, N-E-S-T. And I wrote it, short story because God told me to, slightly longer story because throughout these decades of being a member, people have said to me, as they may have said to you, members, in one way or another, basically, we really aren't interested in that Book of Mormon. Thanks anyway. Or your thought about having us see the missionaries. Well, not ready for that, but you're so kind. But I will say, they would say to me over and over and over again, we love your family and we love strong families. And of course, I have a very imperfect family, but they said, no, we can sense that you're trying to have family be an important thing. And so we sense that Mormons do that in general. They just love to try to build strong families. So just tell us how you do that without like giving us the Book of Mormon. And I'd say, okay, and I started making a list of things LDS people do that are a little bit different than maybe some other people do, or the same things, but in a different way. And God said, put this in a book. And I thought, oh, maybe I could just hand them that when they say, and then maybe later they'll accept the Book of Mormon. Who knows? I mean, no pressure here, people that are listening. There's zero pressure, but it's a book that really does help build, I hope, helps build stronger families. Because that's where all the happiness is, you guys. That's where the happiness is. Let me just say this one last thing really quick. In Hollywood, they tell you all the time, from the time you're a little kid, that the happiness is in finding that right person. As soon as you find that right person, your problems are over. But that's not actually true. You need an entire family. You need more than just that right person. You need aunts and uncles and cousins and brothers and sisters and children. And family is meant to bring us joy. That nest is where the joy is. You've got to have all the layers. Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
It's beautiful. Thank you. And yes, look at
and
that
your book
book.
captures that very thing so well, principle by principle. But it's written in such a conversational style that it just absolutely relates.
And you are a hoot. Yeah. your sense of humor really comes through in your book.
Life is crazy.
Oh, we love it. Thank you for sharing
so
that.
Our question is, how do you light a sparkler and stick it in a book? But you did it.
That's so great. Thank you. I don't know.
Oh, yes. Oh, thank you for sharing that. So, yeah. What else would you like to share before we close?
I would say that I am grateful for you because, and all of you listening, keep listening to them and other things. Like if there's like a little side link and you can click on that has something to do adjacent to what they're doing. That's also a happiness bringer, because these people are all about gathering families on both what we call in LDS land. Here are the tears. On both sides of the veil. So I just want to speak to you personally, you person that can hear me now that needs to hear this. If you're struggling and you feel alone or lonely, or you don't know what to do next, you don't have to join the church, and you don't even have to buy my book, although you can look on Costco and Amazon.
Find it.
But no, I'm kidding. You don't have to do any of that. But you can think about the people that were your ancestors, who I promise you are watching you and care about you. Even if you think there's no one else who cares about you, your ancestors care so deeply about you, and they want to partner with you in going forward in your life. So pray. You can try praying. Ask the missionaries how to pray, or look it up. Pray that you can have those ancestors as angels around you as you go through the world. Literally have them walk with you, and you won't feel so alone, and you will feel gathered in. So that's my last.
Yes, that is so true. Yes.
That beautiful gift of prayer. I mean, we were in a home one day, and the sweet man said, I've never prayed before, I don't know how. So we just said, you just say, Heavenly Father, tell him what you're thankful for. What are you thankful for? That I'm alive. I said, well, what do you want? Money. And he said, you say in the name of Jesus Christ. And he said, so we knelt down, and he said, Heavenly Father, I'm thankful I'm alive, and I need money. And then he paused a minute. Talk about family, right? And he said, thanks for my wife. As soon as he said it, the whole room filled with the Spirit so much. And he whispered, how do I stop? So we told him how to finish. And he stood up and walked us to the door and said, did you feel what I felt when I prayed about my wife? I said, yes. It's called the Spirit. He said, that was amazing. I've never done that. I'm going to go pray some more.
Beautiful.
So it is just seek that help. And absolutely, those from the other side are so concerned about us and so thrilled when we're concerned about them.
And Mary Jo, you are so good about sharing your personal journey. I just want to talk a little bit about your podcast. Tell us what about it. And the last one I listened to was about grandmothering, because you are called Nana. And it was like Nana, something about Nanahood, right?
Yeah, Nanahood. Yeah, thank you. That you are so cute. And that's really interesting you brought that, because the third book is called Nanahood. That's a book coming out later.
Oh, yay! I didn't even know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, you're one of the first to know. So there's a lot of segments about Nanahood, but it's the power of grandparenting, right? We think that sometimes, and we've talked about this in some TV segments too, we think that we're sort of, or not you, but some people think we're just adjacent to parenting. We're, here are the parents and they have all this tremendous influence and we're just sort of over here. But the truth is, grandparents, you may know this from your own experience, have tremendous power, tremendous influence, right? And so it's a book about how to harness some of that and bless these children's lives for good. We're living so much longer, right, guys? Like decades longer than our ancestors. So we have the time and the ability to really help ground these kids. And can you think of a time in history more better suited for grandparents helping ground children in this world? Like, it's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Big deal. So yeah, I love being a Nana. And I think you love being grandparents too. How many grandchildren?
Oh, yes. We have 34.
So just
34.
Yeah, we do.
34. I don't think I can do that many.
Oh, yes, you could. Oh, yes, you could.
That's so impressive.
It's
Wow.
just more joy all the time.
It is. Oh, we love them so much. You can't even talk about it, right? It's just like this feeling that is overwhelming.
So this thing you've tapped into, Mary, all the research says, my doctorate's in marriage and family therapy. And years ago, there was a major transition in America, and it's when nuclear families moved away from their supportive system of a wonderful grandparent system and all that. They used to live on the farm together. As soon as they moved away, major transition happened in all kinds of isolation and loneliness and so many issues, and getting reconnected to Nanahood. And there must be
grandpahood.
There must be a papahood in there.
Papahood. We're a sequel for you guys. Yeah.
There we go.
Grandfathers. We're starting with what we know, but we're going there. You're 100% right. You're 100% right. And sometimes when you look at the news, or when you just look at what you hear about, especially in your line of work, what's going on with kids and social media pressure and all these disorders and things, do you think, it's sort of an obvious thing, but wouldn't it be super helpful to have that extra layer, to have those grandparents? And maybe one of the reasons we have all these problems, you're right, is because we're disconnected. Yeah, we're disconnected. We need to connect.
That extra step you mentioned, that even when we're away, we have extended family that are beyond the veil, that are anxious to bless us if we allow them, and we study their lives and find out their stories, and they motivate us so much to be able to stand up for who we really are. Lots of research about that. So that's, you're just right on cue with doing the great things that make a difference.
So are you. And I love that you just said, and a minute ago, you said too, Angela, in your subtext, that you have such a loving feeling for these children. And then you talked about beyond the veil. And that's what happens, right? That's why I'm saying to all of you listeners, so your ancestors are interested in you. You are direct, sometimes descendants. And the feeling that you have now is not going to change, is it, after death? Are you going to love them less or be busy with building something over there in heaven? No, you're going to be building kingdoms of people, of heaven, of family.
And love them more.
And
even more than we can.
Yes, you will, because your capacity to love will increase over there. Exactly.
That's right. And so we do all we can to keep those connections strong, don't we? We tell stories. We bring them up. We show them the pictures. We pray about our relationship with them.
Yes.
And all of those things, all of those gathering things, right?
Yes. And that's why, we live in a society where everything's sort of instant and disposable, but the last thing we want to be instant, which will never be good if it's instant or disposable, is family. We want our families to take time to build, and then we want to maintain them and never, if we can possibly help it, and toss. We just don't want to toss relationships like that away. We're building a kingdom, and a kingdom is made out of people, and it takes time. So hang in there, people.
Yeah.
And your podcast, tell us the name and how to find it.
Sure. I wasn't sure we had this much time. Do we have a few more minutes? We're
Oh,
good.
yes.
Okay.
With you? Yes.
You're so sweet. I was trying to condense everything. I can tell you more stories if you want. Let's see. If the name of the podcast is Moms Meet World, and it is, again, all about building families and strengthening families. It's done pretty ridiculously well, given how I'm not consistent on podcasting, but I think it's because there's a hunger out there. So I think that's why it's done so well. It's like 15 right now out of 80 mom podcasts and growing, and it's all over the world, just like your people. Hi, Ethiopia. Are all over the world. And so I appreciate that. And we do talk about these topics. And a lot of times my daughters are on, we're talking about things that anything that's related to helping build families, we're all over that. So if that means building yourself, that's part of it. But I think where we get into a problem sometimes in society is that we talk so much about building ourselves. Like how, me or the me monster. And I think we miss the mark a little bit because all those, I'm not saying those things are good. It's not good to talk about being, more assertive or feeling more beautiful or whatever it is. Those are good things, but we need to keep it in context of what really, really builds the self-esteem, just building our earthly family and, dare I say it to my atheist friends, but building our heavenly family, building that connection with our heavenly people. That's where you're going to get that extra boost to self-esteem and happiness.
Thank you for all you are doing. It is incredible. I think you're just superwoman. I'm so dedicated to the things that matter most. So thank you. And thank you for being with us. And thank you for sharing. And please, all of you, look her up. Look up her podcast and her website and her book and her new books. And be inspired by this amazing lady. Mary, we love you. Thank you so much for being with us today.
So grateful to be here.
Please, everybody share this.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
Have a great day.